Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I wanted to try and do a vlog style video for this one because I do sort of feel that that's going to be how I end up filming a lot of videos for this channel. But before I get into what I actually wanted to vlog today, I wanted to explain the whole purpose behind creating this channel and what I'm setting out to do by putting this out there and putting my creativity into it. I've been a YouTube subscriber to a lot of different channels for years now, and one of my favorite, genres is the travel influencers of sort. So people who have traveled for a long period of time, they do these absolutely beautiful vlog style videos where there's tons of beautiful editing and drone shots and things like that. I love watching those. I think they're just fascinating, they're beautiful, they're inspiring, but then I also find them to be unattainable and oddly lacking information that's actually helpful to me. So it's wonderful to see these beautiful drone shots of waterfalls and skyline views of wonderful cities and things like that, but how can I get there? How can I do that? How can that place come into my life as an experience? And I've just found that it's not really helpful to watch beautiful footage if I don't know how to get there myself. As I said, I find them very inspiring, but I don't get useful information from them. So that's why I wanted to start this channel, is because the way that Marcus and I do travel, we travel attainably. So I have a budget. I'm very thorough in my planning. Travel is something that we love to do, but we can't afford to do it full-time or long-term at this point. And we actually have full-time jobs. We have a house. We have roots here. We don't have children, but we have family that live close by. And honestly, I don't feel that it fits our lifestyle or what we want out of life to be full-time nomadic travelers. Maybe sometime in the future that would be the case, and it may actually be the case within the next few years that we become part of the year travelers, but that's down the road. But for the most part, a big reason why Marcus pushed me to start this channel is because when we travel, people always want to know, how did you afford that? How did you do that? How did you find that apartment? How was this? Can you explain things to me? And not knowing the answers to those things, I think, is crippling to a lot of people when it comes to fulfilling their dream of traveling. They're so scared of the unknown of travel that they just don't take the plunge and do it. So a big goal of mine is to hopefully help other people realize that traveling doesn't have to be out of your reach. You have resources that you can use out there to do it cheaply, to have a great time, to make lasting memories, but you don't have to be those perfect people. And travel is not what it's often shown to be on YouTube or in other people's feeds. That is literally their highlight reel. They don't show you getting stuck at the airport or getting food poisoning or getting yelled at by street vendors. They don't show you any of that. They only show you the beautiful shots, and to me that just feels kind of disingenuous. So I wanted to present to an audience how I would like to see travel presented by more people, and that is in a helpful way, not just in a glossy way. So that's the whole purpose behind this channel, is to show you how I travel, how I plan my travel, the ups and downs of travel, what it takes to make this a sustainable hobby financially, physically, mentally, just how it all works behind the scenes. I hope that's something that other people are interested in. It's definitely something that when I first started looking into it, I couldn't find, and here we are. Hopefully this inspires someone else to travel, or at least to ask the questions to get yourself closer to that point and doing something that could really be life-changing, because I really do feel that travel is and can be life-changing for a lot of people. And you just got to get out there and do it. It's scary, it's expensive, but it doesn't have to be scary and it doesn't have to be expensive. Good thing to know. So, what I'm doing today, I'm actually going to move the camera here. What I'm doing today is I need to take some vacation time from work because with COVID, we actually haven't taken much for vacation this year. We took 1 week in January to go to Mexico, and other than that, I have not taken any vacation time. So I actually have to use a few days of vacation or I lose them, and that's sort of a thing with work that I have to figure out. So I don't have a weekend or anything planned on the calendar yet, but I do want to start looking so that when I get the okay to schedule this, we could potentially do it with a few days notice. So the big thing first for me was figuring out where to go. That was a pretty quick conversation with Marcus. We decided, St. Louis, Missouri, it's about a 5.5 hour drive from us. That is long enough of a drive that we feel we've gone somewhere, but not so long that we lose 2 days of travel. So that was pretty important to us. So we are looking at taking a 4-day vacation Thursday to Sunday, and I'm looking at an Airbnb. We did stay in a motel last week Friday for my sister's wedding, and I think we were both just kind of skeeved out by it. Just staying in a motel, especially when there's people there the night before. We're both really hoping we don't have COVID. We did go to a wedding, so we're both really hoping we don't have COVID. But an Airbnb, I always feel that something like that just gives you a bit more personality to where you're staying. And you have the opportunity to stay in some really great properties without the stuffiness or the monotony of a motel or hotel. So, Airbnb, it's great. Right now, the rates are actually really low. So what I want to show you is how I go about doing this. So I don't think I have the ability to do like a screen capture on my desktop. It's a very old desktop, unfortunately. It's still kicking, so we're just gonna go with it. So hopefully you can kind of see what I'm doing. The first thing I would do if you've never had an Airbnb account, you do have to create one and you do need to enter personal information. When I did it, I had to enter my social security number because they do a background check. Because you are staying in people's houses, so they do want to have some kind of understanding of who you are. So the first thing I did was I went in here and I chose St. Louis. So it has chosen the downtown area of St. Louis for me. And as I said, I've been working on this for about an hour now. So I've already gone through and picked a few. So what I've done is up here, there are some filters, and I've chosen we want the entire place. And then I also set a max dollar of $80 per night. So we do want to stay on the kind of cheap side, but I don't want to like totally cheap out either. I did already go through and favorite a couple of them, but I kind of wanted to just go through what I would do if I was looking for something. So this is one I haven't looked at yet, but what I would do, as I mentioned, I went through and chose my location, the fact I wanted the entire unit, and then my price. And then I went through and just looked at the photos of them. So these are kind of the ones on the side here. And I basically start by looking at the first photo. If they post a first photo that gets my attention, I will open that up and look at it later. And once I get a bunch of them up on my top, then I'll start going through and narrowing them out. So this is one that the photo looked interesting. It houses up to 6 people. Has 3 beds and 1 bath, was in my less than $80 price range. So the next thing I will do is go through and look at pictures. And there are certain things I'm looking for when I'm looking at pictures. Marcus and I like places that are more modern in terms of their styling. So something like this is not what we would choose. It's a bit more old, dated. It has character, but not the right kind of character. It's also very cluttered feeling, which I don't really like about that, and I think we're just looking for something a bit more upscale, so this would be a no for me. Moving right along to the next one, again, just looking through the pictures. Okay, it looks like we've got 2 beds, so this is great. Now I wanted to explain one weird thing about Marcus and I. So I go to bed very early. I usually am in bed 8 or 9 p.m. Marcus doesn't go to bed until between 1 and 3 a.m. So I will get a good night's sleep until Marcus goes to bed. Once he comes to bed, he snores, I don't get any sleep. So it is awful if there's nowhere for me to go. A second bed or even a couch in a separate living room will ensure that I don't murder him the next day, because I will have a headache and be cranky and tired and just not fun. And that's the last thing that you want when you're on vacation, is to not feel good. So in terms of the space, this place is good. It does have some character, but again, it's just not furnished the way that I would feel comfortable in. It feels like I'm staying in someone's house, and that's not really what I'm looking for. I do kind of want that hotel feel, but not the hotel price. So this one would be a no. I do have places saved in my little collection here. So these 4 that I've chosen, if you can kind of see, they are more interesting aesthetically. So they have a bit more of a modern feel. This one's kind of gardeny, which I really love plants, so fantastic. So let me see if I can get a good shot of this. So part of what I will also do, these are all roughly within the same area. So we are driving to St. Louis, so I don't have to worry about where public transportation is. If we were going to a bigger city, that would actually be my first number one pick, would be location. But because we have a car, we don't really have to worry about that, so I'm kind of just going with the whole downtown St. Louis area. So for this one, we'll just pick one and I'll kind of explain. This one looks aesthetically pleasing to me. I really do think it's decorated in a style that is nice and would feel comfortable. It does have 2 bedrooms and a couch, so that's a plus. Looks really nice, looks comfortable, has this nice kitchen. So this is a very top contender for me. And this is in a complex or in a building, so it also does have a really nice entry foyer area. So that stays on the list. And then I'll just look at another one with you real quick so you kind of get an idea of what I'm looking at. So again, kind of modern, clean, everything is decorated kind of like hotel-esque. Pretty photos would be nice to take in here. And it would just feel comfortable because it wouldn't feel like you were in someone's house. So that is something that I like about Airbnb, is that you can kind of choose what you want. So the second main thing that I look at on a listing is going to be all the way down here. We're going to go to the reviews. So reviews, I feel, are incredibly important, because if a place looks great but the pictures are 17 years old, you're obviously not getting a good representation of where you're staying. I learned this lesson pretty quickly off the bat when we started staying in hostels in Italy. It was absolutely imperative that you read the reviews, because a place can look great, it can tell you everything that you want to hear, but then you read, oh, this place has no hot water, or this place has bed bugs. It's like, nope. There are certain things that you want to look for. So if you are a non-smoker, if there's any mention of smoking or damage, or if the host was difficult, or if there were parties upstairs, anything that might turn you off to a place is going to be listed in the reviews. So this place in particular has 4.89 stars. It's got 37 reviews. To me, that has enough of a review base, and they're high enough. I would still read through them just to make sure that I'm comfortable with the place, with the host, because a lot of times if you have a good host, people will comment that the host was good, it was clean, I felt comfortable, I felt safe. All of those things are very important to me. So even if it looks great, if the reviews are crap, it's off my list. I don't care. So once I have gone through and done all of this and narrowed it down to probably like 4 places, which I think is actually what I have right now, I may go through and cull a couple more, get it down to 2 or 3, and then I'll have Marcus take a look at them, and if he has any hems or haws about something, we may remove another one from the list, and then I will make the final determination on where we're going to stay. He really doesn't care, I'm going to be honest. Marcus is like, tell me when and where and I'll be there. He has really not much input on where we stay, but he does often comment on my ability to find really good places, and a lot of that is because I take the time to research places. I figure I will actually go onto Google Maps, like street view a place, so that I can make sure that there are no like mattresses out in the street. That's a story from a family member of, oh, we found this really great place in this city, and it was literally in a very bad neighborhood where they didn't feel comfortable walking by themselves. And sometimes it feels like it's a bit extra to be spending that much time, but also, honestly, you're spending the money to stay there. You want to feel safe and comfortable, and do your due diligence, because it's really on you to make sure that you are staying in a place that you are comfortable with, that it's within your price range, that it's within the area that you want to be, and that it's going to help make your experience of travel what you want. The last thing that you want is to come home after a trip and be like, oh, I wish I would have spent $10 extra a night so we weren't staying in a crap hole apartment. It's all about making sure that you are putting the time into it to get out what you want. And I think when it comes to staying in a place like an Airbnb, do your diligence, because there are a lot of iffy things out there, and just make sure that you're happy with what you choose. So that's it with this part of the planning. I can't really plan a whole lot until I know a date, if it's even feasible. And I have actually already begun doing some preemptive looking on what we can do when we're there. The reason I chose St. Louis was actually because I wanted to visit the Cahokia site. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's the closest one to us. We actually don't have very many in the US. So I do like to visit those places when we travel. I actually tend to make a point of visiting them because they are heritage sites for a reason, and I find them valuable to me personally as a thing to make a point to go to, because I feel like I learned something, and you also get a cultural perspective usually from going to them. So we want to do that. The St. Louis Arch, you cannot go into the Arch, but the museum I think is open. And then we'll probably just do sort of a food tour. So I'll spend some time going through lists other people have curated of, what's a good barbecue joint, or who has the best coffee, or things like that. And I will create a list of different restaurants that we will go to, and we'll kind of make that a point when we travel. I always have a few restaurants on my list, so that if we want somewhere to eat and we can't figure out where we can't make a decision, it's like, oh, let's check the list. Okay, this place is on the list, let's just go there. It just takes the pressure off of finding a place, and then you're not spending all this time when you're on vacation trying to hunt down a place. You're doing it beforehand, so you're spending your vacation time enjoying it instead of farting around trying to figure out where to have dinner. And it also just gives you a thing to do, a thing to look forward to while you're on vacation. So I will spend some more time with Airbnb, but I think I'm pretty close to done with this for now. And then I'll put together a list that I'll probably save in like Google Docs that then I can access on my phone when we're actually gone. And I can add to it, take things off from it, depending on what we want to do or how the weather is or things like that. So I hope this was helpful. I will probably do something like this similarly when travel gets back up and going again. The travel planning process to me is half the fun. It's actually I would consider it a hobby unto itself for me, planning my travel as well as the travel. So it's sort of two hobbies in one, the planning and the going. But if you have any questions about anything else on how I find an Airbnb, or what my stipulations are, or our experiences or anything like that, feel free to comment down below. Thanks for watching. If you would like to subscribe, please do so. Hit the like button if you thought this was helpful, and I will see you in my next video.